It's been a controversial impeachment today of the Speaker of the Kogi State House of Assembly, Honorable Momo Jimoh, and this comes as 5 lawmakers sat and purportedly impeached the Speaker in a 20-member House. The lawmakers also chose Honorable Umar Imam as the new Speaker. Honorable Friday Sani, who briefed journalists, said the Speaker was impeached for not carrying other members of the House along in legislative affairs. Meanwhile, 15 members of the House who were seen at Honorable Jimoh's residence insist he remains the Speaker and their signatures were forged to perfect the impeachment.
Journalists in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, woke up to whispers that the Speaker of the House will be impeached today. They followed the news by clustering at the Assembly complex. The unusual presence of heavily armed security men there confirms their suspicion. Some members of the House are inside, but no journalist is allowed in. After a while, a member of the House emerges from the chambers. He identifies himself as the new majority leader and tells the press their resolution.
The resolution includes the removal of the Speaker of Kogi State House of Assembly.
Are you saying we have a new Speaker now?
Yes.
Who is the new Speaker?
The new Speaker is Honorable Imam.
However, in another exclusive interview with Channels Television, the new majority leader explains how the sitting arrived at a quorum.
And in a 20 members of an assembly, the quorum of it is 7. And of course, the 2/3 of 20 is 13. And our procedure for removal or impeachment has to do with collation of signatures. The signatures must meet with the 2/3. Which we have already gotten by the reason of this document that is in my hand. You can see.
Meanwhile, at the residence of the embattled Speaker, Momo Jimoh, another group of lawmakers are gathered to show and defend their allegiance to him. Reacting to the news of his impeachment, the embattled Speaker maintains the impeachment exercise is null and void and blames the development on external forces.
Anything in the House today is illegal because there is no sitting today and there was no impeachment. Yes, this is the list of 15 honorable members. They came here in the morning to pass vote of confidence on the leadership of the House. You can see them, the 50 members are here. 5 people forged signature that they have been impeached Speaker. Yes, I believe that there is external forces that is behind them and they will not succeed.
For now, it remains unclear who is in charge at the Kogi State House of Assembly, the embattled Speaker Momo Jimoh Lawal or Honorable Umar Imam.
It's been a busy day for the President, and shortly after hosting the Liberian leader, President Buhari also held a meeting with the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye. Pastor Adeboye arrived at the President's office with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo around 12:30 p.m. and was led straight into the President's office by the Vice President. Their meeting lasted for about 30 minutes. The National Working Committee of the ruling APC was also at the villa to meet with the President. APC chairman, who spoke to the State House correspondents after the meeting, said they came to raise some salient issues with the President and to pay respects to him for some of the actions he's taken so far as leader of the country.
A very busy day for the President. It begins on a political note with a visit by the national chairman of his party, who led 3 other members, an event the APC national chairman describes as ongoing consultations with the President on national issues.
We see the President regularly, let's get that clear, but mostly in the evenings. Today he preferred that a lot of issues, the state of the nation, congratulating him on some of his trips, which are going to yield very serious economic benefits to this nation. And the recent laying off of some of the last relics of the old administration, we are very glad about. And we came to let him know that.
And then it goes spiritual as the President meets with the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Also present is the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And for Lord's temporal, the president also meets with the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi. The Oni takes time to brief State House correspondents on his calling and plans for the future.
It's a divine calling. It's not by my power, nor by my might. It's a calling from the King of Kings, who actually appointed me to this throne. So I will be very persistent. So about acceptability, no. If you don't accept me today, you will accept me tomorrow. So it's a clear mission, and I will keep being persistent about it. Another thing that came out today, I'm currently working with the current Minister of Agriculture. We've been able to assemble over 200,000 youths. It's unbelievable within a space of 30 days. And we're encouraging them to go back to the farm. Something happened in Nigeria that we didn't notice. Last year, October, the crude oil prices going down astronomically, but the cocoa price went up over 100%.
The traditional ruler believes Nigeria can still bounce back economically through agriculture, as was the case in the early 30s and 40s.
The Senate has asked the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing and other power regulatory agencies to immediately suspend the newly introduced electricity tariffs. This follows an increase in charges raised by over 40%. The Senate gave the directive after considering a motion raised by Senator Suleiman Nafiz, representing Bauchi North Federal Constituency.
It's the resumption of plenary at the National Assembly after a 2 weeks recess. The suspension of plenary was to allow lawmakers the vote time to scrutinizing the 2016 budget at the committee levels. But with the National Assembly identifying problems with the 2016 budget, such as repetition of subheads, budget padding, and several errors, the Senate is once again suspending plenary for another week to give lawmakers additional time to work on the budget.
From the interim reports that the chairman of appropriation has done an earlier discussion addressing the problems and anomalies they receive from the different committees and complaints, if we all agree, I'll put question that we extend 1 more week to allow the committees to engage with MDAs, correct any areas that needs correction, so that we ensure that the document we're dealing with is as accurate as possible and truly represent the wish of the people.
But before suspending plenary, the Senate considered a motion on the hike in electricity tariff.
That due process in the instant law for such increment was not followed in consonance with Section 76 of the Power Sector Reform Act 2005. Observe that increase will have a multiplier effect on the Nigerian economy, with manufacturing companies having to pay more for power. The Senate is worried that the increase in tariff will pave way for additional heavy burden on consumers, and coupled with challenges in the economy, it will adversely affect the purchasing power of Nigerian workers and the entire Nigerian masses, and by extension aggravate restiveness in the country.
Other lawmakers joined in the debate.
This tariff increase is ultra-wicked, it's unconscionable as the heart of insensitivity. We must be able to come up today as a Senate, not only to condemn it, but be able to make this agency to withdraw it immediately.
In as much as, yes, we all do want improvement of power, it must not be at the expense of our people. And Nigerians should not pay for the fact that those that bought these companies did not have enough, they're not capitalized and don't have enough funds. That should not be at the expense. So I hope when you have your public hearing, all these matters will be addressed.
The Senate afterwards asked the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, and the electricity distribution companies to immediately suspend the new electricity tariffs.
Let's take a look at some legal matters now. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Ricky Tarfa, before the Lagos State High Court, sitting in the Bushere area of Lagos Island. Mr. Tarfa was brought before Justice Aishat Okwesonwo on a 2-count charge bordering on obstruction of the Commission's investigations and attempting to pervert the course of justice. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shoyele reports.
In the 2 counts charge, the EFCC alleged that the senior lawyer willfully obstructed 2 of its operatives from effecting the arrest of 2 persons who were reasonably suspected to have committed economic and financial crimes. Mr. Ricky Tafa was also accused of attempting to pervert the course of justice by communicating with Honorable Justice Mohammed Yunusa of the Federal High Court, Lagos, in a suit between Rana Prestige Industries Nigeria and the EFCC, a suit the SAN was said to have filed on behalf of his clients who were seeking to restrain the Commission from performing its statutory duties. The senior lawyer, however, pleaded not guilty to the charges. The EFCC's prosecutor, Mr. Rotimi Oyedepo, then applied for a trial date. He asked the court to make an order for the prison remand of the SAN pending the determination of the charge. But a senior advocate who led the defense team, Mr. Niyi Akintola, urged the court to admit Mr. Tafa to bail. Mr. Akintola told the court that the defendant came to court voluntarily after being granted administrative bail by EFCC on self-recognition. He reminded the court that the defendant was a very senior member of the bar with no criminal record and there was no evidence to show that he would jump bail.
In the first place, the EFCC, what culminated into this particular case has nothing to do with economic crime. It has nothing to do with official corruption. It was a matter of company and line matters issues between 2 lovers. And when you generate it to this level, when you look at the charge, you will see that the particulars does not even relate to the charge in question. You now begin to wonder the locus of EFCC.
The EFCC counsel refused to comment on the case, but he countered the arguments and urged the courts to dismiss the application as the offense was grave. Justice Aishat Okpesonwo, in her ruling, granted Mr. Tafa bail on self-recognition, but ordered that he must not travel out of the country without the permission of the court. Justice Okpesonwo then adjourned the matter to March 14 for the hearing of an application filed by the defendant seeking to quash the charges against him. The trial of the substantive case was fixed for April 20. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
The federal government has produced the former National Security Advisor, retired Colonel Sambo Dasuki, in court. The presiding judge, Justice Adeni Ademola, had ordered the Department of State Services to produce him before the court today. Colonel Dasuki is facing a 4-count charge of money laundering and illegal possession of firearms brought against him by the Department of State Services. The trial judge, however, granted an adjournment based on the request of Mr. Dasuki's counsel, Mr. Joseph Daudu, who informed the court of a pending application he intends to argue. While staying with legal matters and the trial of the former chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Haliru Mohammed, has opened at the Federal High Court in Abuja. At the commencement of trial, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission presented its first witness, Rukaya Ibrahim, an analyst in the forensic unit of the agency. The witness told the court that in 2015, the agency's investigation had discovered a letter from the Ministry of Finance to the Central Bank of Nigeria requesting the sum of 100 billion naira, with 30 billion naira specifically earmarked for security issues. Mrs. Ibrahim further said that 300 million naira out of the 30 billion was paid into the account of the office of the NSA and transferred into another account. She told Justice Ahmed Mohammed that 300 million was paid into 2 tranches in the same account on February the 27th, 2015. The trial has been adjourned to February the 23rd for continuation. And staying with legal matters, a prosecution witness in the trial of the former Benue State Governor Gabriel Suswam has admitted receiving $2.2 million from proceeds of shares sold by Mr. Suswam. Mrs. Bridget Shaidu, a former managing director of the Benue State Investment and Property, was presented as witness by the EFCC. She told the Federal High Court that the money was paid as counterpart funding into the account of Sam Carlos Benue Farms Limited, a joint venture project between Benue State Government and Sam Carlos Farms of Mexico. Mrs. Shaidu, however, denied knowledge of the sale of about 47 million units of Benue Cement Company shares in 2006 by Mr. Suswam's predecessor, Senator George Akume. Mr. Suswam and his former Commissioner of Finance, Omadichi Okolobia, are facing trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja for alleged criminal diversion of about 3.1 billion naira. Hearing in the trial has been adjourned to March the 2nd, 2016.